It is totally their responsibility. And if they had taken care of the business earlier, we would be in this situation right now.
The way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the number one player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. She's going to stand up for her teammate, and that's what she did in that moment.
The WNBA is facing a growing credibility crisis, and the Indiana Fever have reached their limit. What Caitlin Clark experienced during the game against the Connecticut Sun wasn't just a missed call, it highlighted a deeper, ongoing issue that the league has ignored for too long. Now, that problem is boiling over.
Here is the problem. So many of these incidents are happening towards Indiana Fever players, particularly Caitlin.
Instead of celebrating the Fever's big win and Commissioner's Cup Finals spot, the focus has shifted. Everyone's talking about how Caitlin Clark keeps taking hard hits, and this time, it felt more like targeting than tough defense. The ref stood by, doing little as the Sun crossed the line. Fever head coach Stephanie White didn't hold back. In a fiery post-game statement, she called out the lack of accountability and made it clear, enough is enough.
For this first, I know you and JC go way back to the Big Ten. What was going on with the chip-in? Is there, and what explanation were you given for the tech that you got?
I'll take the official question.
I've got all the key moments lined up, because this post-game wasn't just frustration, it marked a turning point. One thing is now undeniable. The WNBA hasn't just struggled to respond since Caitlin Clark's rise. They've ignored the warning signs and the Fever. They're done staying silent. Patience is gone. They're speaking out, loud and clear. Let's break down the fallout and the rising frustration now aimed directly at the leagues officiating with one message: do your job. This was a high-stakes Commissioner's Cup vs. Connecticut. The Sun might not lead the title race, but they know how to play physical, chaotic basketball. With a history of heated matchups, they entered this one ready to test the limits. From the opening moments, the tone was set. Fouls piled up fast, but the whistles, they were either missing or only heard when Caitlin Clark was involved.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it saying, hey, there's a little extra right there.
Enter JCS Sheldon owned this season for her aggressive, no-holds-barred style of play. She's already taken out Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson, and in this game, it looked like Caitlin Clark was next on her list, with even more intensity than before.
Her mortal enemy took out a player. JC Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy, JC Sheldon.
She went directly at Caitlin Clark's face, no exam. In the chaos that followed, Marina Mabrey collided with her so forcefully, it felt more like a football tackle than a basketball play.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
And Marina Mabrey, I missed that one, Edona.
Oh, I missed that one too.
For fans watching at home, it felt like Dacia Vu in the worst way. From Dejonai Carrington's eye, poke to Kennedy Carter's hard foul, the same troubling pattern returned, only this time, all in one game. Connecticut seemed to revive every rough tactic from last season, poking, pushing, shoving as if there was something to gain from every foul committed.
You can't claw someone in the eye! Eject her! Eject both of them! Eject both of them! So there's nothing there, Nothing there. JC Sheldon claws her in the eye. Then the two of them get into it, and then Mabrey just goes and shoves her onto the ground. Eject both of them!
And the officials, they did nothing. This was the league's chance to take a stand and send a clear message: we protect our players. Instead, they did the unthinkable. They gave Caitlin Clark a technical foul. Let that sink in.
Wait, JC Sheldon got away with clawing her in the face! Caitlin got teed up for getting clawed in the face! They didn't even call it a common foul! They didn't call it a common foul! They didn't even call it a common foul! Oh my god! They don't care about players.
Wait, Jasmine Jones swiped Caitlin Clark in the face and got away with it. Meanwhile, Kayla took a hit to the face and she ended up with the technical. No flagrant, no common foul, not even a whistle. It's unbelievable. At this point, it feels like the officials aren't concerned with player safety or the integrity of the game.
Tell you, social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way. That's the
That's right, no ejections. No technicals for those who initiated the chaos. Instead, Caitlin Clark got a tech for simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It would be laughable if it weren't so frustrating. Then came the backlash. Fans, analysts, And former players didn't just react, they erupted. Social media lit up with outrage, and ESPN trended like a major scandal had just broken.
Yeah, it looked like Caitlyn got hit hard, both by JC Sheldon and Marina Mabry there.
The officiating was so baffling. Even Sentel skipped the jokes. He just shared the clip, because the footage spoke for itself. Normally composed, commentators showed real frustration. Marina Mabrea took Caitlin Clark down hard, and nothing was called. This wasn't just a missed call, it felt like the refs gave up right in front of everyone.
Alright, enough is enough. At some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. It is something that, since the beginning, I've kind of backed off on, because physical play is a part of sports. Going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate.
Even the calmest, most diplomatic voices reached their limit when Caitlin Clark got taken down only to be the one penalized. That's not basketball. It's a bad joke. And no one in the basketball community was laughing.
All right.
Here is Clark splashing home a three from way down.
All eyes were on Stephanie Whitehand. She delivered. But before we dive into her powerful post-game comments, it's worth recognizing why Caitlin Clark stands out. Despite being pushed, hit, and knocked around repeatedly, she didn't flinch. Instead, she regrouped, stepped back behind the arc, and drilled a clutch three-pointer right over JCS Sheldon.
With her hand in her face. Competitive.
You couldn't have scripted it better. Caitlin Clark didn't just help seal the win, she sent a message, loud and clear. From deep range, the best part. She backed it up with confidence, composure, and complete control of the game. She owned every moment. Then came the moment that shifted everything. Once the dust settled, the Fever's official account posted a slow-motion clip of Caitlin Clark's reaction. And make no mistake, it wasn't just a celebration, it was a statement. A silent, powerful mic drop that echoed across the basketball world, and don't worry, we're getting to the next part. It was the perfect final touch to an already unforgettable story.
Sheldon going coast to coast. And here we got another breakers here as JC Sheldon goes right after Sophie Cunningham.
Cunningham, fired up and fiercely protective, didn't hold back. She delivered a textbook flagrant foul on JCS Sheldon, clear, controlled, and impossible to ignore. This wasn't about retaliation, it was about sending a message. Sophie isn't just here to put up numbers. She's become the Fever's enforcer and emotional leader, all in one. And now, anyone thinking of targeting Caitlin Clark knows there's a real price to pay.
This was all game, folks. All game. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were getting checked. All game. The Indiana Fever were getting punked. All game. The referees let this physical style of basketball continue and continue and continue and continue and continue and continue. And eventually, Sophie Cunningham.
It is totally their responsibility. That's a hard foul. That's a flagrant foul. And if they had taken care of the business earlier, we would be in this situation right now.
There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates back.
I really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlyn was chucked to the ground. Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected, just a common technical foul? That would never happen. It would never happen. And it's crazy that, it's not actually crazy. It's not surprising, unfortunately, because the referees have been horrible this entire time. But somebody else who called out the referees and has not been afraid to call out the referees is Coach Stephanie White.
You specifically detail what you mean by get control of the game, just to be in your words.
Get control of the game is call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Right, and consistently call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor.
This is J.C. Sheldon right here with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it. Okay? I mean, this is wild. Here's the zoomed out look, the snapshot. I mean, this league does not have control of its players.
Coach, do you think it's something pertaining to your team, or do you think this is a league-wide issue?
Well, I've seen quite a few dust-ups in the league so far, so I think it's a league-wide issue. I mean, bad officiating is bad officiating. The game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. They're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better, except the officials.
Coach, you talked about the way that the game has been officiated for you guys. How did you see the foul that was not called, or a lack of foul, on the Bonner play, and then follow it up by Lexi Hull getting called for the foul?
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. DB's was crazy. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path. It is what it is. We have to be able to play through it. But at the same time, I feel like it's really disrespectful.
Finally fed up. Once again, WNBA, we're not talking about your basketball. We're talking about the WNBA WWE Raw circus that you got going on.